an honor for me to be here. I must begin with an apology. In 26 years back in India, this is the first time I have not been able to make a commitment. I was supposed to be in Pune in person, but you will have to excuse me, my back let me down. So you will have to see me on screen, but it is my genuine apology that I couldn't be there with you. But I will try and make it interesting only if you participate, because I'm going to talk on a very sensitive subject, but it's very, very relevant for the pharma industry in India. I'm going to talk on family-owned businesses and how to avoid conflict in family-owned businesses. So, you will all know that almost all of Indian pharma is family-owned businesses. So it is not just in the interest of the family, but in the interest of the pharma industry and in the interest of India that families that own businesses don't fight. So that is the theme of the discussion today. And I mentioned to Mayo that, do you think you will find an audience which would be willing to hear this? And he said, absolutely, because all of us are family businesses. And if you are not a family-owned business, then you may be working for a family-owned business. So in any case, it remains relevant to understand how not to make the families fight. So I'm going to share the screen, and so now that you can see the screen, I'm going to talk to you about how to untangle conflict. And you see that woolen, the woolen ball, and you can see all the conflict that is there, which is quite something that we have to avoid. So first, if we just to look at it, family business outside of pharma are also a growth engine for the world. Whether it's Korea, whether it's India, whether it's Thailand, they are really the engines of economic growth. So it becomes very important to heed what one of the greatest patriarchs in Indian business told me. And in fact, he used to be from, he told me, you can't put my name below the quote, because then people will start wondering whether there's something wrong in my family business. But he was really an Indian icon. So he told me, running a business is easy. Running a family is hard. But running a family business is the hardest thing of all. So having said that, we need to explore. So first, I just want to give you all the fights in family businesses in India have been one of these 8 relationships going wrong. The patriarch and children. The patriarch can't let go and is attached to old ways, and the children want new ways. Between siblings, mostly between brothers, for control and for position. Between uncles and nephews. Between excluded in-laws, often son-in-laws. Between in-laws, between themselves. Between children from separate marriages, but it is worse if it is illegitimate. By excluded women family members with leaders. And last, which is a recent addition actually, is between husband and wives. This is a little bit of the startup industry. But all the fights in all family businesses in India have been one of these 8 categories, fighting. And so, what is the cause and what do we do? So to begin with, it is critical to understand and define what the family is. Who are the individuals in the family? What are the family dynamics? What are the family values? And what is the purpose of the business for the family? The other thing, which is also very important, is what is the relationship of the business to the family? Do they want to own and manage it? Do they want to just oversee it? In which business are they operating in? Are they mature businesses? Are they future businesses? Are they in regulatory environments? This is all very important. But this does not explain why families fight. And in my research, we came to the conclusion that families fight on three basic issues: on soft issues, on hard issues, and on business issues. Soft issues are the emotional issues where family members somehow manage to hurt each other. Hard issues are ownership issues. Who controls which business? Who is the chairman? Who is not? What should the business do? How much control does one have? How much control does the other? And in listed companies, there is a third angle, which is that if you have a majority or a substantial ownership of the company, how are you aligned in the board so that you don't fight on business issues? So, what are these soft issues? You know, one of the business, I had interviewed 31 families when I was writing my book, Untangling Conflict. And one of them, based in Delhi, told me, "Aur sab kuch nahi hai." So all the basic issue is on soft issues. Soft issues are psychological needs for safety, self-esteem, that cause deep hurt and anger. After this, it is not a matter of right or wrong. It is a matter of you have hurt me. And once you are hurt, it is not a question of right or wrong anymore. It is a question of feelings. Soft rules are implicit. They vary across cultures. They vary across families, even in the same culture. They vary over time. And when a soft rule is broken, it causes hurt. It causes hurt. It does not cause material damage. It only causes emotional hurt. A soft issue, therefore, can arise by inequality of treatment, by frequent comparison of one child with another or one cousin with another, with a failure to meet a norm. Marrying outside caste, outside community, marrying somebody else. Any of these things can cause a violation of an implicit rule. So, there are 5 categories of soft rules. And a soft rule can be broken deliberately, intentionally, or unintentionally. The first is the erosion of trust and respect. If one member of the family feels that another member is being treated unfairly well. And if this happens from early age, it gets settled in the mind and it will cause sibling rivalry of a kind that you cannot explain away, but gets embedded inside the mind. The other way that a soft rule can be broken is a misalignment of a family convention. Are women allowed in the business or not? Are in-laws allowed in the business or not? And a capable in-law says, oh, that son is so incompetent, but they will keep me out of the business. Or a variation in value systems on any issue, on community, on environment, on any issue. But some of the most important variations that I am finding is differing life experiences by generation. A lot of children get sent abroad, they come back, they went abroad at 18, it was a shaping experience, then they work for 1 or 2 years, then they come back, and the family expects that they behave as if they never went abroad. So a person has a girlfriend, holds the hand in front of the uncle. The uncle says, no manners. What is going on here? These differences in experiences cause unintended conflicts. Then, of course, there can be personality types that are not matched and can often cause a lot of pain to each other. An extrovert can stymie the development of an introverted brother or sister. And once this goes wrong, it stays wrong for a long time. It's never easy to repair emotional damage. Very, very hard to repair emotional damage. So what we have to do is prevent it from reaching a stage of causing deep hurt. It should be allowed to be stopped after irritation and some pain, but not deep hurt. And so the first thing that families have to do is to create an environment where the patriarch, the steward, understands these issues. The 5 that I mentioned, which are the triggers, and then explicitly start to articulate soft rules. Like in our family, this is the culture. This is how we do things. It is not right or wrong. It is our family. And how difficult can it be to follow it? If it becomes very difficult, let us learn to discuss it. But we must know the starting position. What is the family? And what are our values? Not your value, but our family's value. So all families need to create an open forum where people can express their feelings. This can be to an aunt, this can be to a grandmother, this can be to somebody who can tell the patriarch, you are really hurting that child. You need to take some care. Every time in every family, there are some people who can say things that others cannot. This is always known, but not used. It is a mistake not to use it. We need also to create in the family a culture of coaching and of gratitude and of apologizing. It is easier for the bigger person to apologize than for the smaller person to apologize. The person who has power, the person who is older, they should say, I didn't want to hurt you. Don't worry. Don't take it too hard. These things are very important. And if one does it, we don't allow an irritant, a pain to become a deep hurt. And then there should be some mechanisms for serial defaulters, either internally or the doctor or the lawyer or somebody can be asked to talk to somebody and then say, hey, this is not okay. Your family will not tolerate you giving random interviews to the media and saying bad things about the family. It's not okay. So, some mechanism to stop people. So, this is the first one, which people don't pay attention to, but it is very important. And that is why I gave it the top, the top position. Everyone is aware of the fact that there are ownership issues. And there has to be alignment on ownership. Of course, it is only fair if I own 25% of the company and you own 25% of the company. I should have a 25% voice in the company. So first thing is around ownership. There are hard but simpler issues to deal with. Hard but simpler to understand. What is the purpose of the family? Do we want to leave a legacy? Do we want to give jobs to our family? Is it a source of wealth? What is the level of harmony in the family? What are the ownership rules that have been agreed? And is there common acceptance? Who is taken into the family business? How is their performance evaluated? Can you leave the family business? Are the rules on exit clear? Do you have a body to discuss these issues? Because these are hard ownership issues. So typically, for some families, it is business first. The patriarch wants to create an iconic company. They want the company to live forever. Some others want the family business to serve the family, give children job, all are taken care of. It is fairly well, equitable, not performance based, but equity based. Everyone is treated equally. Or the third is it is wealth. If I feel the time is right, I will sell the business and we share the wealth. So first, people have to be clear. What is the purpose of the business? Then the business, you can be an owner-manager, or you can be an activist investor, just sit on the board and manage the professional CEO, or you could just be a passive investor. And this could change over time with different generations. So the family has to answer this every 5 to 7 years. What is the purpose of the business? How is this operating model going to operate in the future? What parts of the owner-manager model do we want to retain in the future, even if we don't want to manage the business? I mean, you can get a salary as an owner-manager. It's difficult to depend on dividend. So there are these issues. And you need to be able to discuss them. So You can be an owner manager. We discussed this, where you manage daily operations, governance, and dividends. But where does the family discuss these things? Every person who has any stake, a family member with interest, should be part of a family assembly. The family assembly, depending on the size of the family, of course, when you become bigger, these things become important. But there has to be some forum where families can create smaller bodies which the larger family trusts. And if supposing it is a third generation family, different sides of the family are represented, which meet 3 or 4 times a year, which are given information. They then select a more empowered group. This empowered group selects the CEO, puts different family members into management, decides salary of the family members, decide the inter-se variation in salaries, sets term limits if you want to, if there are close by in age, brothers, etc. Who will be chairman for how long? Will they be co-chairman? How will they interfere with each other? So this is important. It is hard, but the questions are easy. Then there is in listed companies a very important thing for families to remember, that their ownership has to express itself in the board. That is the only place. And SEBI is seeing the board and its operation. So if families don't speak with one voice, they dilute their ownership. So, what is the composition of the board? Which members of the family have selected which independent members? Does the family agree on business decisions? What is the level of harmony? How do you create a forum that when the family is sitting in the board, it is speaking with one voice? And that voice represents the wishes of the family. There should not be differences on debt, on growth rate, on talent recruitment, on M&A. And there should be some place that these discussions can be had. So what I covered with you were 3 sets: soft issues, hard issues, and especially for listed companies, business issues. Soft issues are within the family. They are emotional. They cause hurt. They are not right or wrong, but they damage relationships for a long time. Then there are hard issues, which are business ownership related, easy to identify. Some rules have to be created, which all family which have ownership power agree to. And then you can take it further with a code of conduct and this and that, a family constitution, depending on how much you want to formalize. And then there are business issues. And finally, this we have covered, there are also people who work with family business or are employees in family business. So what do they need to know? Firstly, the family needs to know its position with employees. What roles are for family? How will they hire talent? What kind of talent? So the family has to know. And depending on the sector, it will vary. The employee needs to know their value proposition. They need to know a family business is more like entering a home, a joint family home, rather than checking into a hotel. You can't check in and check out. Trust and loyalty are very important. But you also need to know who's a family member and who's not. So who's an owner and who's not. And likewise, partners, joint venture partners, etc. When they are trying to do deals with the family, They need to know the history, reputation, succession issues in the family. Otherwise, they will get disappointed. So these are some other issues. But today I was focusing much more on the family itself. So I've been going on for a long time. I shall leave you with two quotes, both from Gandhi, who said, peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to cope with it. And the second, for all families, this holds true. The future depends on what we do today. So this is what I wanted to cover. I am open to any questions.